So, last time in this series, we saw that Matt Kenseth would pull off an underdog championship upset in the 2007 playoffs. Now, in the 5th episode of this 13-part series, we take a look at how the 2008 season would have played out with the playoff system in place. Obviously, it's an imperfect hypothetical, and I know they would have raced differently. This is just a fun what-if scenario. So, here are the guys who would make up the 2008 playoff grid. The first to lock in his spot would be Ryan Newman, who won the 50th annual Daytona 500. Carl Edwards locked up his spot with wins at California, Texas, Pocono, Michigan, and Bristol. While Edwards initially finished first place at Las Vegas, he failed post-race inspection, meaning that second-place finisher Dale Earnhardt Jr. would be declared the winner. He would make it off of that Vegas victory as well as a fuel mileage win at Michigan. Kyle Busch ran his way in with wins at Atlanta, Talladega, Darlington, Dover, Sonoma, Daytona, Chicagoland, and Watkins Glen. Jeff Burton's lone win at Bristol got him in the show. Denny Hamlin would have made it with his win at Martinsville. And after that, it'd be Jimmie Johnson qualifying with wins at Phoenix, Indianapolis, California, and Richmond's second race. As for the winner of Richmond's first race, it would be Clint Bowyer, who snuck by in the end of the race to win. Kasey Kahne would lock up his spot with wins at Charlotte as well as the first Pocono race, and Kurt Busch would be the final driver to punch his playoff ticket with a lucky win at New Hampshire. So with 10 winners, it left 6 spots open for points. These would be made up by Greg Biffle, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, and David Ragan. So, to start the playoffs, the grid would look like this. The opening round would take place at New Hampshire, Dover, and Kansas. Starting at Loudon, drivers like Dale Jr., Jimmie Johnson, and Carl Edwards, as well as winner Greg Biffle, all locked themselves into the next round, basically. Meanwhile, others struggled. The points would close up towards the cutoff. The next week at Dover, trouble struck even more. Denny Hamlin, Kasey Kahne, and Kurt Busch all had major issues during the race. So the points below the cutoff line would tighten up. With Kansas being the cutoff, there were many drivers whose playoff lives were on the line. Kurt Busch would struggle, falling below the cutoff. Matt Kenseth also had troubles, but an even bigger threat for the title was in trouble.
Chasers having issues. That splitter makes a nice little mower up front there.
Now we know how they got that grass mowed all pretty down through there.
Make sure we get the grill cleaned here when we come back around.
And with Stewart struggling, it opened up the door for Kasey Kahne to sneak by into the next round by 3 points. So along with Stewart and Busch, Ryan Newman and David Ragan also fell short in the first round. So opening the round of 12, a huge opportunity for success and disappointment was on the horizon. The round would take place at Talladega, Charlotte, and Martinsville. Trouble would hit all in some way or another as 10 of the 12 drivers were involved in some way with a crash.
And looked like he might have had a bump. We'll see him turn into the wall.
Yeah, I think these things, when you make a hard turn like this, you just lose control of them. Now, let's see. Right there it is. He has to make, there's nothing you can do. Close. You have to turn to miss him, and then you just lose control of the car.
Right front. Oh, that is a hard impact. Thank goodness for the safer barriers there and all the things that NASCAR has implemented inside, including the Hans device.
You're going to want to stay down that bottom. You get down that bottom and you're trapped there. That was a close call right there. Woo. Oh, got trouble up front.
Biffle right in front of Junior. Kenseth is in it.
Oh, and turns Quapple into the outside wall.
And
Kevin, a lot of chasers involved in this one. Oh, 17.
When you get off there, if you can drive it.
This is definitely the big one we were looking for, guys. I was hoping we had not seen, or we had seen it and we wouldn't see this, but these guys hung back all day, and that's what they get in then.
We don't have any brakes.
We told her, look at Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car all torn up in the front. We mentioned Talladega could be the turning point in the chase.
This is definitely a turning point for these guys right here. All these chasers involved.
Carl Edwards.
After the wreckfest of Talladega, the cut line was razor thin. With 2 more races to go in the round, there was still time for recovery though. Most playoff drivers would run up front at Charlotte, chief of these being race winner Jeff Burton. But unfortunately, not everyone escaped unscathed. With wrecks for Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Matt Kenseth, both fell harder than any other drivers after Charlotte. And heading to Martinsville, Kyle Busch and Jimmie Johnson were locked into the round of 8 already due to points. For a majority of the day at Martinsville, bubble drivers like Carl Edwards, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Jeff Gordon all ran up front, with Gordon ending up finishing 4th, Edwards finishing 3rd, and Dale Jr. finishing runner-up. All 3 would advance. Because of electrical issues, Casey Kane would fall back with Kevin Harvick and Matt Kenseth into elimination. And while finishing 5th, Denny Hamlin would lose out to Jeff Gordon in a tiebreaker to make the Elite 8. This tiebreaker being that Jeff Gordon had a higher finish during the round than Hamlin. So, with 4 races left, the points would reset once again. Because of winning Atlanta and later Texas, Carl Edwards would be the first to advance to the final race at Miami. Kyle Busch and Jimmie Johnson both used top 5 runs at Atlanta to distance themselves as well. Towards the back of these 8, Clint Bowyer and Jeff Burton's mediocre runs put them in must-win scenarios. And while Dale Jr. finished 11th, behind both Gordon and Greg Biffle, he gained on them significantly because of the stage points he garnered early in the race. The true shift of power would come at Texas, as Jr. gained no stage points throughout the whole race in a mediocre 20th place run. Jeff Gordon's 2nd place finish and extensive stage points gained him 22 on Earnhardt. As for Biffle, he gained 32 on the 88 and jumped up to 4th in the final transfer spot. 8 points separated 4th through 6th. With Phoenix left, the chance of a win and you're in scenario was quickly hushed. Jimmie Johnson would join Carl Edwards in the final 4 with his evisceration of the field at Phoenix. Behind him, both Gordon and Jr. gained stage points over Greg Biffle. The 2 HMS teammates were in a dead heat for the points. Something would have to break, and it did in the 24 car with less than 50 to go.
11 to 6, and a lot of smoke now out of the 24 car. Jeff Gordon, who had been back on pit road.
Come on in, stop here either way.
They're telling him to get to the bottom of the racetrack. So he doesn't drop any oil on the track.
The hell with it. Just drive it to the garage. We're done.
Yep, that'll do it.
With Earnhardt battling in the top 5 throughout most of the night and finishing 6th, and Biffle being a non-factor, the spot was a virtual lock for the 88. Like Kyle Busch, bonus points would pave the way for the final 4 for Dale Earnhardt Jr. All that was left was 267 laps around the Homestead Miami Speedway. Edwards once again came out in a league of his own, dominating the opening 160 laps. Johnson, Busch, and Earnhardt looked to have no answers in the back half of the top 10. But with about 100 to go, the field once again was shuffled due to a caution. And with the final caution being 59 laps to go, fuel would become the main concern of the finish. As the laps wound down, with 30 to go, all 4 drivers were running between 3rd and 8th. Edwards in 3rd, Johnson in 4th, Busch in 5th, and Earnhardt coming through the pack in 8th. No one knew if anyone could make it though, turning the race into a game of fuel mileage chicken. Earnhardt would be the first to fall of the final 4.
We're going to check some suspension parts here and see what's wrong. This is just kind of how their year has gone. They're a strong car a lot of different times and unfortunately not able to finish it off.
Falling out of the race, he would end his title hopes and end up finishing 4th in the standings. Jimmie Johnson in the 48, as well as Kyle Busch in the 18 team, banked on everyone needing to pit. This left Edwards out as the only one of the championship 4 chancing it for the win. He would run half throttle to his first championship.
Final lap for Carl Edwards, who has led the most laps, trying to coast home with yet another win in 2008.
He's going to make it, guys.
Off of turn
Here
4.
he comes.
Out of turn 4.
Great job. It's running out right now. It's running out right now. We're out again.
Carl Edwards would be the 2008 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion. Johnson's 15th place finish put him 2nd in the points, and Kyle Busch ended up 19th position, which would slot him in at 3rd. Of the 16 playoff drivers, only 12 won a race, tying 2004 and 2006 as the least ever to do so far. Of the top 10 guys in real life, only Tony Stewart in 11th in points in this scenario was the only one not to be in the top 10 in this format. The guy who replaced him in the top 10 would be Dale Earnhardt Jr., a Final 4 driver. 7 drivers continued their streaks of 5 straight years in the playoffs, these being Jimmie Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth, and Kurt Busch. Only 1 driver made their inaugural playoff berth, this being David Ragan. The final 4 drivers made up for 25 wins on the 36-race schedule, the most ever, with 8 apiece from Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch, 7 from Jimmie Johnson, and 2 from Dale Earnhardt Jr. 2008 also would be the first year a rookie didn't make the playoffs as well. So, after hearing all of this, I pass it to you. What did you think of the 2008 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series playoffs? Let me know down in the comments below, subscribe for more great NASCAR content, and leave a like if you'd like the video. And until next time, have a good one.